right? Where let's say we get those information.
There are many information about locals. In every Purana there's some cosmology. Agni Purana. There are many, in fact, I think the cosmology of the Bhagavad. There's also cosmology in the Vishnu Purana. It's not just Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam lead us towards Krishna Bhakti. Like for instance, Ram Leela in every Purana description. Why? Because there are many types of Ram Leela. And every Purana has its own view of Ram Leela. Krishna Leela also, let's say, Purana. Many Puranas Krishna. Not only one. But in the Bhagavad is the way Bhagavad design is give full entrance into Bhagavad Rasa. Everyone's not ignorant, but he's got special super order by knowledge. Otherwise, he destroys their own knowledge in Puranas. Most people don't know them in Purana, they have no understanding. And in Purana it says 3, 18 by 3. You know it says 18 by 3. 18 by 3 means 666. The part. Maharaj is that one. Srimad Ramakrishna means Bhagavad is the Adam. And you're right, Maharaj, I know very little about that to share. I'm not complaining, I'm recording. You want to chance it? Можно другие карнавалы.
Because Guru Maharaj compiled this song as an offering to his gurus.
Sujanar Budara Jitapadayugam Suvadharma Durangana
Dale esto, Sagurudeva.
Om
their place. He's very clever. By one song, he's even more Prabhupada recognition.
Very good. And if you want to please Radharani, you have to glorify Krishna. If you want to please Krishna, you have to glorify Radharani. So if you want to glorify Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, you have to glorify his movement in his own words. Then this is, cannot go wrong.
So, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur Prabhupada, Srila Goswami Prabhupada. And you know what is a Meenakshi Prabhupada? It's actually quite humble title compared to Vishnupad. Vishnupad is more advanced, and Saraswati Thakur is it's a concept of Vishnupad, I by the feet of the book. And do you know title Bhagavan? Title Bhagavan?
Yes.
Who is it applied to? Yes. In our Sampradaya, who has that title? Krishna is not in our Sampradaya. Krishna is not. Krishna only Radharani or Mahaprabhu. Krishna is not included. What feel Madhavendra Puri, Krishna cannot feel. Only Radharani can feel, and Madhavendra Puri can feel like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because Krishna is enjoyer, how he can feel Krishna Bhakti. So that title Prabhupada applied to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Bhagavan, that's his other title. Bhagavan Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. This is in our Sampradaya. And you know who else is this title applied? Also Shukadev Goswami. So this, and you know the story. They asked Sridhar Maharaj, why you are telling Bhagavan Bhaktisiddhanta? It is not proper, it is like Mayavad. And Sridhar Maharaj said, no, it is not Mayavad. And he showed many scriptures where Shukadev Goswami called Bhagavan. And who is revealing the highest truth about Bhagavan? He must be better than Bhagavan. Understand? Who is better than Krishna? Guru and Radharani. Because they reveal Krishna, they can give you Krishna. Who can give you Krishna better than Krishna? Anybody knows God exists. Who can give you God? This is Ishtavar's explanation. So that's why he said, why you say, no, I'm improper. Saraswati Thakur Bhagavan, he revealed the whole world, Mahaprabhu, and how he can be less. There is a big debate in Gaudiya Math and other maths about this matter. Sridhar Maharaj made it clear. Because there is also this big problem with Mayavad and Vaishnavata. Bhagavad Gita. See, some Mayavadi say, oh, Shukadev, he was Mayavadi. They say, up to a certain point. Not full. Not when you start hearing the Bhagavad Gita from Vedas and speak with no longer Mayavadi, before you was Mayavadi. But if you understand in India why Chaitanya is more important, because many Mayavadis live in Srimad Bhagavatam. And they say he is because in Srimad Bhagavatam many like a general spiritual, Avadhut Gita, this Gita, that Gita, Chadabharata, Rahugana story. So if you have that perspective, that take, then it is not so much devotion to Mayavadi. They cannot understand devotion. But when you take Uddhava, and then you take the devotional aspect, then you can understand devotion. And that is 30% of Bhagavatam. 40% of Bhagavatam and 1/3 dedicate to that devotion. They will read about Guru Maharaj, they will read about Prabhupada. They will not understand the same thing. One time Sridhar Maharaj, he traveled all over the South India, and in South India there's so many big pandits. So Sri Rama is coming to South India, he meeting one man. And that man was Shuddhadari, he remembered all Bhagavad. And you know the name of Bhagavad in South India? If you go to Guruvayur, you go to Kerala, they will call Bhagavatam Narayana. It's one that Pandit translated in their language. It's Narayana. But that man was super scholar and he remembered every sloka of the Bhagavad. And Sri Rama asked him a question, do you know the Bhagavad? He said, yes, every sloka. And Sri Rama said, then tell me one question. Who is the most specific devotee of the Bhagavad? And what was the answer? Who is the most devotee of the Bhagavad?
Bhagavad.
Yes, in the Bhagavad, who's number one devotee?
Thus.
Huh? Yes. So you know. And why he's number one devotee? So that Pandit go into meditation thinking, and he said, number one devotee is Chaturasanga. Means Maharaj. Sri Rama said, Napriyat Mayatma Atmayona Shankarana Sankarshana Shri Ayata Chaitava. And he's established Uddhava number one devotee. And what Uddhava say? What Uddhava say? So when Krishna said, my number one devotee is Uddhava, what number one devotee say? Aham Tvam Charanarelu. If I can just get dust of feet of Gopi, I must be very happy. So Uddhava is not telling, yes, I am number one devotee. Because number one devotee will show you what is higher. Number one devotee not tell you, I am so high. Thank you very much. No, he said, Aham Tvam Charanarelu. If I just can touch feet of Gopis, that the feet dust of Gopi Vrindavan make me purified. Because Krishna sent Uddhava with letter. And remember, Uddhava was coming to like Nanda Yashoda, he was disturbing everything. Can you imagine Uddhava coming to Nanda Yashoda saying, don't worry about your son, is so think that they're happy. Then Uddhava coming with letter for Gopis. And finally, Uddhava is transformed. She's very clever. These Maharajas are a wealth of Srila Sridhar Maharaj's teachings. See, Guru means, some people keep thinking Guru that someone who knows everything. And from that point of view, Guru is Google. When you say Guru Vishnu, Guru Brahman, Guru Vishnu, Guru Deva Maheshwaran, say Google, Guru GPT chart, Guru is, DuckDuckGo, Guru is Chrome browser, but this is not what Guru is. Because what people think, Guru, if I can just go to Guru, like GPT chart, ask any stupid question, they give me a very smart answer. And you know what really Guru is described in these pictures? It's quite interesting. See, because at one point, we can think, Guru must know everything. But the Vedas say, to know one, by whom you know everything. And who's that one? To understand one, by understand one, you understand everything. What does that mean? If I try to understand everything, I understand nothing. But if I understand one means Krishna. So Guru is someone who understands only one thing. Even Yasi, even if Shuddha Devanaya say Krishna Tattvadeti, say Guru Bhai. If you understand Krishna Tattvadeti, say Guru Bhai. Mahaprabhu said, if you understand the truth about Krishna, say Guru Bhai, you understand everything. Otherwise, Vedas, you cannot understand Vedas, remember the Vedas. And one time Narada is traveling to one city. And in this city, you see everybody is invalid. Everybody proves, basically. So just imagine, Narada is flowing in a celestial world, you heard this? And Narada is coming, and see like this guy has brain, this guy has no one hand, this girl has no eye, this person has no mouth. And Narada thinking, I'm coming to Swargaloka, and I go to a beautiful place, and I see all beautiful people there. And then Narada question, who are you? I feel like I'm in hell. And you know what they say? We are the person 5 Vedas. We are the Vedas. They say, yes, you are Vedas, person 5 Vedas, must be so wonderful. And they say, yes, but the problem is with people, how they recite us, how they use us, we become like this. Then the question is, where is this person? Who can cure you? Only somebody who can purely recite you. And they discover only in Vrindavan. So the second story from scriptures, what's it called? Prayers of person 5 Vedas. And where those prayers are given? In Vrindavan. And who the expert of the Vedas? Are gopis. But if you really look at the gopis, they don't know Vedas. But everything they say must be more qualified. I can tell you more interesting story much if you allow to finish. And then I'm just warming up the crowd here. Think this. One time, Lord Ramachandra coming into Ayodhya Vanashram, and every sage, every rishi who stayed there doing tapasya for a long, long time, when they see Lord Ramachandra, what do they think? What was their thinking? Yeah, those rishis, they look at Ramachandra, what was they thinking? When they look at Lord Ramachandra, this rishi, they were not gay. They think, looking at Lord Ramachandra, they're thinking, how man can be such a beautiful? How can women that have Sita, that have such a husband, must be happy? At that moment, because their senses were pure, because they purified their senses, Lord Ramachandra said, Om, one life, you will enter Rasa Leela. Because 1 billion year, you someone do a feeling coming to you. You see me, you're not thinking, oh, he's God, he's so strong. No, they see him. He's very beautiful. And any women must be so happy to have connection with him. But Ramachandra has only one wife. Then he's telling the old man with beard, don't worry. You understand? So when in Vrindavan you meet somebody with beard, what do you tell them? Don't worry. You wait 1 million years, everything will be fine. Because they were real rishis and they were real yogis. But Ramachandra said, no, this life. After 1 million lives, no problem. That's what rishi doing. No, but that's one thing. They're focused for their attention. And all this time becomes like 1 second. You understand? So that's why it says, if you condense your Krishna consciousness in deep stage of concentration, that time is subjective. Remember Mahaprabhu, Yudhidhani Vishnam Chachushapramishyatam Shunyatam Jarasapram. Mahaprabhu said, without you, eternity looked like 1 second. This is not a joke. If you were that focused on Krishna, 10 billion years, no problem for you. But to speak about 1 life. That we are not focused, that is the problem. Maharaj, I warm up Daladians. I confuse everybody. They thought just coming to Vrindavan, they grow beard and they become Krishna's consort. Like this. Today one goes to the beard come, I know the names. I say, you leave out, now we have nice, looking like gopi. And Radhakun's grand virgin. But you don't know it will take a million years. You know, thinking like, if you calculate 1 million year rent, it will become very expensive. Understand? But you're not paying rent. Do you know why? Because by the Guru grace, you engage in japa. And that million year period become very short because you're always busy doing service. But if you want to come and stay in Radhakund and wait till Krishna love you, and you have long beard, and even if you put woman dress, it will take 1 million years. Am I correct?
Only.
1 year, 1 million year Brahma, I'm not saying human being. I'm talking about 1 million year Brahma. Then you have to think, what is the day of Brahma? What is his name?
I was speaking today about how Guru Deva is the personification of Krishna consciousness versus society consciousness. Everybody in this world is into society consciousness. Many things are attached to society consciousness. That's why it's called society, friendship, love, all the good things of society, property, influence. So, to give up society for the sake of love, well, in a way we did that when we joined Krishna consciousness. Then I was telling the story. We joined Prabhupada's institution. And then, after Prabhupada left us, his institution went into quite some turmoil. And then we heard that there was a sage living who was giving the answers to resolve that turmoil. So then, we became very affected. Oh, another sage is there. We know Prabhupada is our topmost sage, but nevertheless his movement is in turmoil. So then they said, if you cross this river, then you know. So society was you want to go there? You want to get that revolutionary understanding of love, and you will lose society benefits. You will lose your investment, your acquired merits, your status, your son, your sannyas, or whatever. You will lose it. And it wasn't just talk. Those who crossed the river, that kite. I crossed the river. That's 1981 first.
You're trying to say you went to
Another river. And 1981, I crossed the river. Miss Goswami. But then I came back secret, not being discovered that I crossed the river. Then what I heard from Srila Maharaj, I tried to apply it to my life. But it did not work. Because I was under the restriction of society. And there's something called Krishna consciousness or God consciousness versus society consciousness. lasted on until 1984. 1984, I decided
Was remembered.
officially now, 1984, now we are in 2024. 40 years. That's 40 years.
It's like blink of an eye, Maharaj.
Yes, it's blink of the eye, and I'm still not allowed to come back home.
Don't regret.
Well, there was a very nice poet. He wrote the following poem. All glories to you. You renounced the Maya pursuit to go to Navavi. That's why we follow you. Anyhow, society consciousness versus God consciousness. Very deep subject. It's not only a subject like in that case of crossing the river to go to Navavi. We have to cross over this society consciousness in many instances to make our life work properly. Because even within our own structure, you may say that any type of sectarianism is totally society consciousness. Because parampara is beyond this. Anything to do with the divine discharge of love, this is by the Supreme Lord for all. So, whenever Guru Tattva manifests, we call it Bhagavata Para. But does everybody represent Bhagavata Parampara? Not necessarily. That is the highest devotees like our Guru Varga. They represent Bhagavata Parampara. Not every temple president and every decision he makes. But if he is sincere, then he represents the Pancharatrika Parampara. The Pancharatrika Parampara is somewhat a practical adaptation to the need of the day. You may give the example of a doctor who's highly qualified, who has made thousands of surgeries, very successful, and all of a sudden there's some guy who's very sick, but the old doctor is dead. And the only one you got is a new doctor who just happened to graduate his medicine maybe a year ago. And here you go and put the mystery into his head and says, if you don't cut, the guy's going to die. Or whatever. So, that you may compare to a Pancharatrika Parampara. He has to do whatever he can, whatever the need for is there, and he will be protected by the Bhagavata Parampara as long as he doesn't have any ill intentions. If he is sincere in his attempt of seva, then the Supreme Lord himself will take over you, take his hand and guide him and do the proper thing. So in this way, society consciousness doesn't want to recognize that open, generous aspect of Krishna consciousness. But Srila Bhakti Rakarshana Maharaj, in Sri Guru and His Grace, he explained it to that extent that he even said, wait a second, stop it. This is not a diksha. This is a shiksha. This is a descending grace coming down into this world by the divine will for those who are searching for it sincerely. And like Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada said in his Vyasa Puja offering in Bombay, I don't know, many years back, he said, we are not coming together to honor a specific individual. Today, we are coming together on Vyasa Puja to honor that divine manifestation of Guru Tattva, which has come and will come again and again to save me and you and everyone. That is what we honor in Vyasa Puja. Now, in the case of Srila Bhakti Goswami Maharaj or Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, we are feeling so comfortable because they are Bhagavad Parampara Gurus, and thus they are outstanding and historical and Shakti Avatar. But what about when you have the Guru Puja of somebody who's your Guru and he says, I'm not a Guru? Then you're in trouble, right? I'm not a Guru, I'm not qualified to be Guru, but it is Vyasa Puja. Then you have to think about it, how is this Krishna consciousness handle such situations? And you will find out that Srila Bhaktivedanta Maharaj gave us that guidance in Sri Guru Grace. He went that far to say that Sri Taiji, one Guru, he has 2 feet in the spiritual world and he steps into this world to recruit. Another one, he's in this world, but he's so surrendered he already has 1 foot in the spiritual. And he's telling him, come on, let's get out of here. Quickly here. And there's the 3rd type of Guru, he has both of his feet still in the material world, but he has his focus, his vision is put on that side, the divine. And he's telling everybody, that's the way, let's go, that's the way. So all these 3 Gurus, they have the validity and they are worshipped when we worship Vyasa Puja. So today's Vyasa Puja of Srila Bhaktivedanta Maharaj is really that divine celebration of Guru Tattva. And only that will please Srila Maharaj. Even though we may say, oh, he was so kind, he was so sweet, he smiled when I gave him a flower garden, or he said welcome home when I came up to him in this beautiful ashram in Avadhut. There's like such high-pitched things which I can relate to. Oh, Guru Maharaj, he was not wanting to eat pizza, but one devotee wanted to make pizza for Srila Guru Maharaj. She was an English devotee, and she prayed and prayed and prayed, and finally Guru Maharaj was not used to eat anything except his traditional food. He accepted her pizza. Oh, this is a high point. Well, in her life, yes, but not in the Guru Tattva of Srila Guru. So, this is all I wanted to share with you because I feel we are surrounded by plenty of mediocre circumstances in this world, and I don't think it ever was different. Of course, when a Bhagavad Parampara Guru is present in front of you, you are a very lucky fellow. But even there, if you look at the mission of Prabhupada, how much struggle he went through, how many difficulties he went through. Even in Srila Maharaj's ashram, there were fights in the beginning and this and that, and you know that things are what they are. And we are lucky because we are under the protection of the Guru. That Guru is Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and his beloved children. You know, in the eyes of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami is one of his children, one of his beloved children. But so much that he wanted him to say Shri Guru Pamachari before he left this world. So we are so happy and so lucky to celebrate his Avadhut. Because you know something, even though he is such a prominent person in the Brahma, there's many devotees who are devotees, and we respect them, and they don't give any recognition on this Avadhut also. They don't think it's very special. Well, for whatever reason, but of course we don't mind. Love is something, it's spontaneous. It flows where it flows. And if the love comes, then it's wow, great. So the love for Srila Guru Maharaj is definitely a gift we gave back to Srila Prabhupada. Because Srila Prabhupada told us to go to him for advice. So it wasn't sentimental and it wasn't capricious. It was on the order of the divine spiritual master. He also said that Srila Bhagavatam must be finished under the guidance of Srila Maharaj. He also said the Vedic planetarium should be constructed according to Priya Bhagavatamrita under the guidance of Srila Bhakti Maharaj. And he said so many other things. He said, I want to make a new mission, I want to make Srila Maharaj the Guru. He invited him to be the Guru of ISKCON. I think on 2 occasions. He said, please come in and you take care of it. I send you the people and you look after them. But just because at some point Prabhupada made a critical remark on some of the circumstances in the Gaudiya Math, in which Srila Maharaj also had part of that decision. My God, brothers are holding this up like a flag in the world, turning people to think that his historical importance is not of that majestic importance. And I feel very sorry for them. Very sorry. They missed out on so many wonderful moments. What to do? Maybe they'll get it later when they read his books sometimes. As a matter of fact, many devotees in the world, they quote Srila Maharaj books without mentioning his name. Which is not really fair, but that's what's going on. Anyhow, on his birthday, his Avadhut, I just wanted to recollect a little bit of that history. Going over to his side meant you cannot come back. To what? To society consciousness. Thank you. Thank you for not letting us come back to society consciousness. Because at the feet of Srila Maharaj, we got God consciousness.
Based on your remarks, a few things I can source out. First of all, let's say we look at the Greek history. Who do we know? Plato, Socrates, Aristotle. There must be a bunch of people who put Socrates to death. And we only know his name because of the death of Socrates. So, anyone blasphemes some great soul, it's just for the glory of the great soul. Like Haridas Thakur was sentenced to die. If this would not happen, nobody knew how great Haridas Thakur is. So anyone who's doing something must be resistance. And it is not just resistance in our life. Look at Mahabharata, look at Mahaprabhu. Think of this, Mahaprabhu came as a Krishna himself, he had resistance. Not everybody except Mahaprabhu in his time. Not everybody except Haridas Thakur, not everybody except. So I think we should look at it this way. You come into the prison, a bunch of criminals, and why do you think they will agree with you? They're there for a reason. So thinking that you come into this material world and everybody will accept you is not like that. Unless you are Jagai Madai. But what happened is, when they started to coming and giving to Jagai Madai for the name, they said, be very clever. First you give them faith, then you give them for the name. See, Ado Shradha Tato Sadhusanga Radha Bhajantiya. Ado Shradha Tato Sadhusanga. If you have no faith, there's no Sadhusanga. The quality of Sadhusanga will be based on your faith. So what Maharaj is explaining, they come into Guru Maharaj. What is the quality of their faith? It's just like, you come in to give money to my shop. What's your money? Show me the money. You might have some plants, and you're able to buy a straw. And you come in to want to buy the diamond. You have to have a lot of faith. You have to have a lot of fortune to be able. That's why one time Govinda Maharaj was asked a question. They say, why many people got understanding Prabhupada, why very few people understand Sridhar? And you know what Govinda Maharaj said? He said, because Prabhupada, it's like he's giving you something with nothing in exchange. But to come to understand Sri Guru Maharaj, you must have some supreme. Yajanti he sumedasa. And you have to have a little supreme, little past life, little this, to be able to understand and be around. And again, how much you can accept and how much you can digest. So Maharaj said, why society consciousness is bad? It's not about society. It's just collective digestion. What people can collectively digest is one thing, and what some great soul can digest is another thing. We think if you put many people together, they can collectively digest very easy, but it's not like that. You always have somebody above his time, his space, and he becomes part of his vision. Saraswati Thakur was visionary, not like old Vrindavan were happy to see him. Guru Maharaj had visionary, Prabhupada was visionary. Anybody has vision, like Maharaj, what he's trying to do, some people thinking, oh, why he's doing this, why he's doing that. I said, because he's always trying and experimenting. And he's trying to move forward. Because something you see 100 years ago may not work in America today. But Krishna consciousness must go. So one who has vision, he has ability to synthesize, replicate, and bring in a new format. In other words, Maharaj can take a little guitar and 500 people will chant Hare Krishna. And somebody else will come and pray for 20 minutes the mantras and everybody dead. By the time you finish your mantra, everybody dead. So that means, how is your ability to connect with people? How your ability is, if I don't get your heart, I cannot get your mind. Understand? I have to shoot you in the heart. Then you have no problem. So just like Guru Maharaj, he can get your mind, but he really wants your heart. Mind is okay, but you give me your heart, then I can give you more. Just you give me your mind, that's all. We can call it intellectual things. So when we come into Real Guru and Real Vaishnava, what do we want to give you? Mind is wonderful, you can use the mind, but what really is, it's about heart. Heart, as Govinda Maharaj used to say, heart-to-heart transaction. Govinda Maharaj used to come to Latin America and say, I don't speak Spanish, you don't speak Bengali. You know what? I feel by heart we connect. Because heart is the seat of the Atma, the soul. And mind is easy control wind and the mind. It's Krishna saying that. So in Buddhism or yoga, you have to control your mind, you have to do meditation, you have to control the senses, you can control. But in the real way, it's very rare possibility. But when your heart is under the flow, it is like nature. When you meet devotee, you have natural heart flow. You feel, yes, this is mine. I don't understand anything, but I feel this is my Krishna. Like these people, us, we're not smart people. We're fortunate people. The smart guy was sitting with us. But even he has the fortune to meet Maharaj, to meet devotees, and to appreciate Chaitanya Charitamrita. Because the smart people, they will argue for float earth, around earth. And the fortunate people, they say, I don't care, I love Krishna, I like Mahaprabhu, I love Vrindavan. So today, I was sitting with one man talking about some things, and I told him, people in Vrindavan never see this. And you know what he told me? He said, in Vrindavan, not only we not see, we don't want to see. In Vrindavan, we only want Krishna. Because a little ego, and that is true, they're not seeing this, I show you. But he said, we don't want anything, we just want Krishna. Mahaprabhu, Radharani, that's what we want. So many other things. This is Vrindavan. So Vrindavan is not like coming by Google, I know the names, I know everything. No. Guru is like who will narrow Krishna. This is not a point, Maharaj, you understand? Guru does not have the broad vision. The broad vision, okay, for the Guru has very focused vision for Krishna. And I was very amazed when Guru Maharaj, I understood that. Because we're thinking, oh, this man speaks Sanskrit, this man knows the Veda, this man has been everywhere. But that is not Guru. Guru Maharaj said, that is not Guru. Who can show you the Krishna and tell you only this? This is the Guru. And this is amazing. Because Maharaj, you understand that this is anti-society concept, anti-knowledge concept. And that's why one man told Prabhupada, I'm every day recording your Sanskrit, you have so many mistakes. How can I believe my Guru perfect? Because that devotee was more educated than Prabhupada. And what Prabhupada told him, you know that story. Maharaj? It's going to somebody. That was Prabhupada's disciple, who was a professor and a Sanskrit scholar. And he translated Prabhupada and see Prabhupada make many mistakes. So he said, Prabhupada, how can I believe you perfectly or I can see your many mistakes? And what Prabhupada told him, he said, don't look my mistake, look what I do. Understand? If you look for my mistake, your brain swallow. You look what I do, what is my purpose. Then you understand. And think of this. Man who gave all the books was not a Sanskrit scholar. And this gentleman that came with Maharaj's grace, I asked him, do you know Jesus Christ? Because many Indian people say, Prabhupada coming, giving out Indian culture. No, he's not. Prabhupada is actually more than Jesus. Jesus told you, don't steal. Right? Yeah. Jesus said a few things. I want Prabhupada. He give you like Krishna Bhakti, Mahaprabhu, Sankirtan. How you can compare Prabhupada by Jesus? You know, Socrates is only giving one book about Atman-jnana. And Prabhupada gave you Bhagavad Gita, Krishna book, everything. So then get those stuff with Prabhupada give. You cannot compare Socrates, you cannot compare Aristotle, you cannot compare Jesus, you cannot compare Muhammad, you cannot compare anybody. Prabhupada only you can compare inside of Gaudiya Math. Okay, Guru Maharaj is Prabhupada's advisor, Rupa Goswami. This is only comparison. Outside we cannot compare. So don't try to compare Prabhupada with Gandhi, don't try to compare Prabhupada with Jesus. You make Prabhupada Aparata. And you want Prabhupada Parata, not Aparata. Maharaj, you know the difference between Parata and Aparata?
Very important.
Aparata means no Parata. You're not going to get it. Parata means nice kids. Anyway, Maharaj, I think we should finish. That's about it. If you keep in Baba, we have to give you a chance to dance. Otherwise, he's not 100% happy.
Guru Maharaj, I want to recite a slok, please, if you give permission. It's in Sanskrit.
We can tolerate.
Go ahead.
We will tolerate.
one of my favorite for Guru. Yam Vedika Mantra Drasha Purana Yam Vedika Mantra Drasha Purana Indram Yamam Matra Rishwan Mahu Vedantino Nevachaniyamekam Yam Brahma Shaptena Vinirdisanti Shaivayamisham Shivaetyavochan Shaivayamisham Shivaetyavochan Yam Vaishnava Vishnurite Stuvanti Buddha Satahar Niti Bodh Jaina Sat Sri Akaleti Chasik Santa Shasteti Ke Chita Kat Chita Kumara Shasteti Ke Chita Kat Chita Kumara Swami Timate Tipite Tibhaktya Yam Prarthayante Jagadishitaram Yam Prarthayante Jagadishitaram Sai Kreva Prabhuradutiya Sai Kreva Prabhuradutiya. The essence of this mantra is just I'll not tolerate
First,
it.
tell the source. Source.
Ekta mantra.
Huh?
Ekta mantra.
Eka?
Ekta mantra.
From which Purana? Which Veda?
I used to learn it in the school.
Or which is the source?
I don't know. Okay, I can just tell essence.
Yeah.
The essence of this shloka conveys that the divine presence through called by various names in different spiritual traditions is fundamentally the singular and only one, nothing else. That is Supreme Reality, Supreme Personality.
Very good.
Hariharaya Nama Krishnaya Radhavaya Namaha
Hariharaya Nama Krishnaya Radhavaya Namaha
Jnanavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha
Jnanavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha Gopala Govindaram Madhusudana Giri Gopina Radha Mohana Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Radha Sundara Hari Guru Vaishnava Hari Bhakta-vrinda Hare